Hello and welcome back. This ship here, the Myrmidon, did become my primary ship for storyline missions. Before this ship I did fly the Prophecy and I still do fly my Arbitrator cover tops. But this ship somehow did show to be the best in my case over here. So in this video I'll be using dual armor repairs, and of course I will have dual armor hardeners with a afterburner or a MVD. The medium slots will have a dual Nosferatus with one group armor repair. The drones will be mostly the same, 3 Valkyries with 2 infiltrators. The primary weapons on this ship will still be the medium missile launchers. Of course, you can replace the missile launchers with rapid missiles, that will work as well. Now, in this update we did get new skins. It is Halloween, and well, some of the ships did get Halloween themed skins. They look very nice. I am not quite sure how much they cost, but several ships did get these skins. I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't give a skin for the Succubus. I mean, the Succubus is a very interesting looking ship and it should have a Halloween skin. Well, time to see how this fit will perform. Now, with dual armor repairs you should have good skills for the armor repairs, or should I say you need to have good maintenance skills, because dual armor repairs will use a lot of the capacitor. And also same can be said about the hardening skills. You need to have good armor hardening skills in order to preserve as much capacitor as you can. Of course, that can be fixed with a capacitor battery, or in my case it can be fixed with dual or even triple energy Nosferatus. Now this fit is a medium to close range fit. With this fit I do intend to use my weapons, all of my weapons. That includes the missile launchers and the drones. And so far I have to admit I do like this type of tactic with this ship. Mostly because in this case I can clear the enemy ships a lot faster and the drones will not travel too much. That also saves time. So this way I should be able to clear this mission very fast, very quickly. Now personally I think this fit would work best for up to tier 6 storyline missions, or should I say tier 7 storyline missions. For tier 8s I still do prefer the previous fits that I did have, mostly because they are more reliable, because you have more distance between your ship and the enemy ship. But if you want to clear tier 6 storylines very fast, and of course at the moment clearing tier 6 and tier 7 storylines is considered the fastest way to earn ISK in the game. And in my case I did make around 400 million in the last 2 days only with this ship by doing tier 6 storylines. Okay, so far everything is working according to plan. Now in my case the capacitor will be stable even without using the Nosferatus, but for some reason the game tells me that I have 57 seconds of capacitor time with all modules active, which I have to say I didn't notice. Now you have to keep in mind, in this new update most of these ships will carry a scrambler, so I have to be extra careful around some of these enemy ships. And of course I do have to terminate the frigates and the destroyers first before I can jump on the more heavier and larger ships. But so far the fit is working quite well. Now you might be wondering, why do I have one group armor repair? Well, I do use the group armor repair in a passive way. It repairs my armor without the need of me using the capacitor and the primary armor repair. That works, of course. It uses fuel. I do have plenty of fuel in the cargo hold, so the module can run for a very long time. And in this case, it can repair very minor damage that these ships do to my armor. But of course, I will use the dual armor repairs because I do have nearly infinite capacitor. I did approach some of these ships to make use of my Nosferatus. By the way, they did increase the range of the Nosferatus. They did also increase the range of neutralizers. So this new patch did bring a lot of interesting and of course I think couple good changes. Now at the moment the window, the fitting window is kind of broken because it doesn't display the DPS properly on ships that use drones. So keep that in mind. My DPS is in this case correct, but if you use drone damage amplifiers and if you use the omnidirectional tracking links, then your DPS might be displayed incorrectly, or in my case the drone DPS is completely gone. So these are a couple issues that did appear in this new update. And of course one big issue was, I think, with the shield mods, where they would literally return all incoming damage on your ship, which would cause your ship to be destroyed. But thankfully I think they did fix that, and they will compensate all players who lost their ship, which is again a very odd bug. And I have to admit, I was very lucky not to use that module, because at the time I think I did fly my succubus. My succubus does have that module, so I am very lucky that I didn't enable that module. If I did, well, I think that succubus would have been destroyed, but that did not happen, thankfully. Okay, let's see. Now I will focus on that elite cruiser. After the elite cruiser, I'll focus on the other cruisers. The capacitor is stable, armor is also stable. The ship is doing decent amount of damage. I do have 31 kilometer range with the medium missiles. With rapid missiles, I would have 24 kilometer range. Keep in mind, the rapid missiles were nerfed and the medium missiles were buffed, so the medium missiles should be a little bit better than they were before. That's a pleasant change. And the last 5 ships left for this wave. So far I have to say I do enjoy this fit a lot. Now this fit would be excellent if I had resistance rigs, but for this ship my rigs are more balanced on range, tank and DPS, so in my case this fit is not going to work to its full potential. But if you, for example, fit this ship for resistance, if you have resistance rigs, then this fit will be very interesting, because your ship would have around 80 to 75% resistances on all damage types, and that would make this ship very tanky. And of course, dual armor repairs will repair a very decent amount of armor. That means the ship would survive a lot of incoming fire and of course a lot of incoming damage, which would make it even better for these tier 6, and I would say in that case even in tier 8 storyline missions. Now, at the moment, I still do prefer to fly my cover tops in tier 8 storylines, mostly because that ship is very fast. It also has very long drone control range, 78 kilometers at the moment, or 74 kilometers at the moment, which is very nice. This ship does have higher DPS, and it does have one extra drone, and of course, most importantly, it does have a fantastic armor and of course fantastic tank, but it is slow. Honestly, I still have a hard time to get used to the slower warping ships. I got used to 5 astronomical units per second, or even 4 astronomical units per second, while this ship goes 2.7 astronomical units per second, which in my eyes at the moment is very slow. And of course, with the ship I do spend a lot of time warping in, and of course warping from gate to gate, from station to station. With the core tops I don't have that problem. That ship is very agile, it is very fast, but its armor and overall its DPS is quite lower than this ship over here. But of course I would still use, and I still use, the core tops for these missions, and of course mostly for tier 8s because I am more confident in that ship. I can also fit that ship for a semi-armor tank and it would still work very well. Now for this ship, I will use this ship for tier 8 storylines. That is a thing that I have to do. Besides that, I do plan to use this ship mainly for tier 10 storylines because it can do them. I would have to change some modules, of course. I will have to change my fit. For example, I would want to have a afterburner instead of a MVD. So it will be interesting to see how the ship will perform in tier 10s. And of course, I will also do tier 10s in my core tops with the new rigs that are coming, and of course with some new modules I will be able to do tier 10 storylines quite easily. And of course I am very curious to see the changes that they did apply to the tier 10 storylines. And of course, speaking of changes, very soon I'll be able to get a faction cruiser. So I would have to ask, which faction cruiser would you like to see first? Now, I spent a lot of time thinking about which one to actually get, and in my current case, the Stratios would be the perfect ship for me actually. All the Sister of Eve ships are actually going to be very good for me because I do have excellent skills for these ships. But because those ships are still not available, they're still not available in the game to be built and of course to be sold, I would have to settle with the other 4 or even 5 of the faction cruisers. And at the moment I do have very good skills for a couple of them. That includes, I do have good skills, actually the best skills for a Gila, and also I think I have decent skills for a Cinnabal. In the end I would get both of these ships, but the first one, which would you like to see? At the moment I do think about getting the Gila. That ship is, and used to be, still is, one of my primary goals. So I am very curious to see what you will say about that. Well, let me return to the mission over here. Now here you can see that I use this cruiser as a, well, I use the cruiser as a mobile battery, literally. I only use this cruiser for its capacitor to keep my capacitor alive. have to admit, these enemy ships are destroying my capacitor. They sure did increase the amount of capacitor that these ships will going to draw away from your ship. And that includes the Nosferatus and energy neutralizers. These ships they can empty your capacitor very quickly, so make sure that your capacitor is stable and that you have at least 2 of the Nosferatus, or if you don't want to use Nosferatus, make sure to have a capacitor battery. The capacitor battery actually saves a lot of capacitor, and of course it did help me in a lot of very dangerous situations before, so having one of those is always a good idea. But of course Nosferatus are going to do the job just fine as well. Well, 3 of these ships are left for this wave. After that I'll jump on the next wave, I think this might be the last wave, I am not quite sure. I did clear this mission quite fast, quite quickly. Of course, it would be a lot faster if the ship were faster. Sadly, this Battlecruiser is slow, as all Battlecruisers. So that's one of the things that I personally don't like about the Battlecruisers. They are very slow. Not too slow when I have to approach or to run away or orbit a enemy target, but the warp speed is very slow. That is, I think, the single most problematic thing that I do find on the Battlecruisers. And that's not mostly the ship's fault in my case. In my case, I am too much used to the fast and agile ships. For example, I'm too much used to the cruisers. I am too much used to the cover-tops cruisers, which are very fast, and I'm also used to other very quick destroyers and frigates. Generally, I like to fly fast ships. I feel more confident and comfortable flying a fast ship than a tanky ship. But I have to admit, having dual armor ups was very satisfying for me. I did enjoy flying the ship this way a lot. It did get the job done quite well. It did survive all incoming damage from all of these ships. The capacitor is stable. The DPS is satisfying. It did get the job done. I did manage to clear these missions with this fit quite fast. I didn't encounter any problems. But of course, speaking about problems, the only problem that I did have was my internet connection, which was very bad. I did have high ping again, and I did have a couple disconnections that kind of could be dangerous, but because I did have dual armor ups and a good capacitor, I didn't worry about those much. So overall, I am very satisfied with this fit. Now I need to clear the last 13 enemy ships here. The only thing that I could improve here are my skills and, of course, my modules. I do use mostly faction modules here at the moment that I think can be found for a decent price, or if you don't want to buy them, you can always get them from these storyline missions. They drop quite often, and also they can be sold quite well. Now here you might be noticing my capacitor going down. That is because of the neutralizers and Nosferatus on all of these enemy cruisers. But I did approach all of them, and I will use my own Nosferatus to resupply my own capacitor. and I will use them to restore the capacitor that these enemy ships are neuting away from me, which is interesting because they did make them very dangerous now. Okay, let's see. That Omen is going down. Now the next target will be this Maler, and after that it should be only 10 more ships left, and after that the mission should be completed. Now overall the Amar missions are, I think, the most difficult ones because these ships can do very good damage to you. That's why I did choose this mission to test out this fit, and so far I have to say the fit did perform quite well, the ship did perform quite well. And for tier 6 storylines, to clear them quite fast, I will use this fit because I clear them very quickly. Now of course keep in mind it's actually funny that warping from one station to another station, or warping from the station to the mission location takes actually more time than completing a wave of enemies, or it takes more time than completing a site of these enemies, which I find very, very funny. Hopefully when I get a Gila that will be fixed, because the Gila has a 5 AU per second warp speed and overall is a cruiser and it's fast. Well, this would be it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that this was helpful. This ship and this fit so far did perform quite well. I do like them. And with that being said, stay safe, fly safe, and I'll see you next time.